Morning, this is Troy from the Do-It-Yourself World and the Off-Grid Project. Got my battery charger hooked up. This is the actual AC powered commercial charger hooked up to my battery bank because they were at 8.5 volts and the solar charge controller couldn't handle, or the solar panels weren't putting out enough current to charge them fast enough, and your battery should not sit at a low level for very long. And they were unused for a few months, so I didn't check the voltage when I hooked them up out here in the tiny house on wheels, and realized that they were too drained when the red light on the charger came on the charge controller. So I've got this hooked up to a generator out here for now. The generator I'm going to be using anyway because I will be cutting furring strips and paneling today. I want to start finishing up the entire living room. I'm going to start on the back wall over here actually, and I want to work from here all the way around to past this window for now up to the middle beam. So I'm going to do the entire living room area from the door all the way around to here, and that's where the kitchen and heating area basically starts. So that's my goal for today, is to get I got to put on the furring strips, then the radiant foil, and then make paneling. I think you can see it in better light now. Hopefully it shows up nicer. It's still awkward because I'm in the dark, but it's a beautiful salmon colored paneling that I'm making here. So once it's up on the walls, you'll get a better view of it. So there's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11. There's almost 12 inches at 6 or 8 feet probably so it's a decent amount of paneling right there. So it's gonna go pretty fast once I get working at it. Anyway, I'm gonna start cutting the furring strips with a table saw out here using the scrap lumber that I have from that lumberyard haul, and start tacking them up in here and get this place put together. Been cutting a mess of furring strips to use inside my tiny home. Now, here's why I can't use it as structural wood. There are termites and ants in some of it. So I've actually found some termites and had to kill them. And a queen ant rolled out of one of these pieces of wood. Oh, she was in here, you can tell. There was a queen ant in here. I don't know where the rest of the colony was, but the queen rolled right out of here. That is not good. So this stuff is going to the chickens. They can scratch at it and it'll rot over there and whatever, but the rest of this wood for the most part is pretty good. I have to check it for termites because I found some termites walking around here and there after cutting it. Like I said, that's why I wouldn't use it for framing my house. See, there's some pretty bad splits and cracks that go really deep. But for the most part it's pretty clean wood. I just have to really be careful and check it before using it. A piece like this I can shave again sometimes. Wait, will that fit? Yeah, I can shave that and it'll take the outside lip off and give me pure clean wood inside. Or on both sides, that is. So I'm going to throw this stuff away. But anyway, this is all furring strips I'm making out of my scrap wood. Most of it, as I say, is pretty good, but I have to really be careful. I do not want to introduce any termites into my house. I wish I had seen where they came from, which piece they were on. But I'll check them. What I'm doing is I'm scraping each board. I'll show you what I'm doing here in a second. Let me pause my camera. First I look for the better end. This end's going to get cut off. no termites, no rot. It takes time, but again, it's free wood, so you take the good with the bad. And that piece can go inside. I've got furring strips all the way along this wall. All the way, still have to put the middle ones in between here and one under the window. I got the entire back wall done with the furring strips and all the way over to this window here. I'm going to put the radiant foil on starting here and work my way over around the back wall to the window. And then I want to experiment with my homemade paneling today so I get an idea of what I have here and how it's going to look before I go ahead and make too much. So I'm going to have lunch now. It's getting late in the day. I shut everything off. The batteries were at 12.2, so I shut down the generator and I shut off the charger. And I was done cutting anyway for now. Later on when I fire up the generator again, I'll probably put this in just 2 amps trickle charge. Make sure those batteries are topped off nicely, and then the solar panels can maintain them as I use them. So, getting ready to put the radiant foil on. Lunchtime now though. I'm putting on the space age looking foil. These are all in pieces and strips and scraps, but there's one of the biggest. That's nice. That's about 5 foot high by quite a few feet long. It's going to wrap around past this window. So I started here because I can scrap this part in here and up around the top. But that's a nice chunk. That goes really fast when it's in pieces like that. So I'm just going to staple this on and finish the living room area and then see what my paneling looks like. Well, John said this is going to be like a walk-in cooler, and it sort of looks like it right now, doesn't it? It's funny. Well, done with lunch. I took an extended break and worked on the videos a little bit. All the chickens are at the edge of the chicken range trying to get close to me. Believe it or not, for the first time this year a hawk attacked and was sitting on the new chicken coop of all places, right down inside the chicken pen. And I heard the most horrible screech. One of my little chickens got attacked by the hawk, and I think Big Mouth chased off the hawk and started making a ruckus. I ran out, and that hawk was just sitting there, relaxed as anything, sitting right up back there behind that leaning door there on top of the chicken coop back there. Just sitting there relaxed as anything. So I'm probably going to have to run some more strings back and forth inside the chicken range. And I've got to reinforce some of them anyway. They've fallen with time. They're all still there, but they've drooped and dropped. So I've got to reinforce the chicken coop. So that's another job to add to the list urgently on top of everything else. But my bird is okay. It's missing a lot of feathers in one spot and it's got a little bit bloody patch, but it's all superficial. It lost a mess of feathers. Big Mouth saved his neck again by protecting all the birds. I'm determined to get some paneling in here today, just to see what it's going to be like. Oh. That's a bad time for a battery to die. Mid-drill. The drill is stuck in the wall. Now, since this is holding all of the paneling, I'm putting 6 screws per to make sure it holds everything upright. Pre-drill, and then putting in 3-inch screws, which goes through both sets of furring and into the stud behind. Making it a pretty solid wall. Actually, this one's going to have 5 screws. That's enough. There. So there's a furring strip ready in this corner. I went and cut 4 of them already. So all I gotta do is put them in place, screw them in, and then I've got something to tack my paneling to. And I've got a few sheets of paneling, so within a very short time here, I'll be seeing what it'll look like. They're pretty long sheets, so I think they'll cover the whole wall. So I'm going to have to stagger them a little, cut a couple into halves. Nice. Actually, it's good to have a drill and a power driver now. Very convenient to have the 2 separate. I was switching bits all the time before. It's very nice to have 2 separate tools. Really makes it go better. 2 more. Well, I'm going to continue putting up these furring strips so I can put on the final paneling inside my house. Forgot to tape the seams, so I just went through and did all that. That gives me a very good solid vapor barrier as well. So I only did the back wall. I haven't done the window walls yet. I just want to get some paneling up here and see what it's going to look like experimentally. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 more furring strips. I've got 1 here, 1 there, and 2 in the corner, and I can start with my paneling and see what it's going to look like. Well, there's the furring strips on the back wall. That wall is ready for the paneling, but the generator just ran out of gas just as I was putting the last screw in the corner. So I gotta go put some gas in the generator, and then I can cut some paneling. I think what I'll do, I'll tack on a couple pieces I have while the generator's off, show you what I've got here. Actually no, because I was going to use my brad nailer, which is air powered, which I was going to use while the generator was running. I guess I have to tank it up. Well, here's what I had feared. It looks beautiful, but I can see the radiant foil in behind the slats. Because of course with homemade paneling you're not going to get a perfect fit. So I tried messing with this rosin paper to get it up behind there, but it was a nightmare fighting that paper. Of course, I was trying to use the end of a roll, so maybe I'll try a new roll. Because you can see that radiant barrier down behind there. That's not good. But other than that, it's going to look like salmon. I mean, it looks just like a piece of salmon. It's quite amazing. The color is just like salmon. So you can't see, well, maybe you can. You can see the wood patterns in there and the old age of the wood, some cracks and stuff. I'm going to leave that intentionally in the saw marks just to give it some character. Well, I think I absolutely have to put up this rosin paper for this to work. It was just giving me a problem getting it tight enough, but I got to do it. There's no other way. Well, there's a salmon colored wall for a background to my salmon colored paneling. So I'm not going to worry about the gaps up in the top. Unless you're really looking, you probably won't see it. So I'm going to start and continue on here. I have to cut some pieces, so I'm going to have to go back out to the table saw now. But it's going to look good, I think. I want to get a few more pieces done before it gets too dark. Oops, sorry about my camera. Get a few more pieces done before it gets too dark, though. See how it looks. Coming together. I think I have just enough daylight to shave one more 2x4. See, what I'm gonna do is have a 3-inch, a 3-inch, a 3-inch, and an 1.5 inches, and then repeat the pattern. Gives me a little bit of a design, I guess. I can't wait to see what this is like in the daylight. I can barely see it right now, so really it's hard to say. The wood is not uniform in thickness and size because it's old and there's chips out of it and it's wavy. So definitely the rosin paper helps, and I think the pink color behind the pink wood is perfect. So I don't know. I guess tomorrow in the daylight we'll see. But it's definitely got a rustic look to it with the gray in the wood. Yeah, I can't wait to see this tomorrow. So I'll shave a little bit more wood and I'll do another row. Because my saw is only 3 inches high, deep, the depth of cutting, I have to shave off 2 pieces, which gives me the nice pattern anyway. Well, I got some more paneling pieces. Well, I actually did quite a bit overall. I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows. Looking good. I really am liking it now. The last few pieces are tighter and coming closer together and looking really nice. And I like where there's occasional saw marks. Here's a little bit of dry rot. I kept that. Gives it some character. I did check for bugs though. So I can't wait to see this in the daylight tomorrow. Oops. Camera can't focus. It's too dark for the camera. Come on, camera. Alright, well, that's a sign that that's the end. And the battery's empty. So that's it for tonight. That's it from the off-grid homestead and the tiny house on wheels.